Hello everybody and welcome to what's probably the last video I'm going to make, where I'm going to upload for the year of 2022. And I do have quite a lot of ideas to put forth for, especially for tops. But I'm not going to go there just yet. This is going to be related to what I'm about to say. But right now, I'm going to talk about the things that I like and dislike about Generation 8 of Pokemon. So, now that we've had our time with Scarlet and Violet, what do I think of that? I'm not going to say much about it yet. I'm going to say about it later. But right now, I'm going to probably talk about the stuff that, liked about Sword and Shield, BDSP, and Legends Arceus. That's all I'm going to talk about, those three games. Stuff I liked about them, stuff I didn't like about them, stuff I thought mid about them. And stuff I don't like about them, but it's not their fault. So, let's go start with the obvious thing. The stuff that I like about Generation 8 as a whole. Or rather, we should say as separate pieces, because the thing about Generation 8 more than any other generation up to this point is that every game is vastly different. Which is kind of, I wouldn't say unusual, because it has happened before, and by happened before I mean let's go. But prior to Generation 7, this doesn't really happen. In which when there's specific mechanics just set forth by the primary game pair of the generation, the other games that follow in that same generation will keep to the same kind of formula, same kind of mechanics. No, not this time. This time is different. And you can say that is one thing that I could find either I do like or don't like about Generation 8 as a whole anyway. I don't like the fact that it's not consistent considering how wildly inconsistent the generation is. But the variety is actually pretty good. So I like the variety, but I don't like I wouldn't say the scale of the variety, so to say. Maybe if there was one game with massive variety just for the sake of freshening things up, like what Let's Go did, I'm fine with that. But when every game in your generation is like this, where they can't even connect very well with each other, that is kind of odd. I just feel like it's kind of odd. So, I guess as a whole, between the three, how inconsistent they are for both stuff I don't like and stuff I do like. But time for individual things that I like about a generation. Especially stuff from Sword and Shield that has carried over to Scarlet and Violet. And here's three things I like about Sword and Shield. And they all come into play later in Scarlet and Violet. Now, up until that point in Sword and Shield, it is the best game for hatching. Because the thing is, since I want to say, since Pearl maybe, although really more Gen 5, that I became more and more focused on Pokédex completion more than anything else. However, it wasn't really until a few years ago for Sword and Shield that I was like, you know what? How about I not only get my living decks, which I've already started since Gen 6, if I'm not mistaken, although I've done so in Gen 5. The living decks started Gen 6, and then make a shiny living decks. What could I do with shiny living decks? Well, first of all, we know it's possible because some people have already done it. So I'm thinking, you know what, I'm kind of bored. Let's go start shiny hunting. And, let's just say this. This is kind of one of the things that I'm glad that Sword and Shield is the best shiny hunting game up to that point in time. Because not only does it have, the ease of, hatching in general, because there's a lot of hatching places you can do. That's just a straight line, or you can just, go around in circles. So there's a lot of options for that. For Sword and Shield, considering how wide the region as a whole is. Well, rather how wide the wild area is, I guess. But also, it has something that only up to this point Oraz has, and that is 2 hatching nurseries, which makes getting eggs so easy. And I say this carries over to Scarlet and Violet because in Scarlet and Violet, I have tested a bit more. I've done a little bit of how hatching works, not just because of getting slack off, but also trying to get shiny starters. But you don't even need nursery because you are the nursery, which is kind of weird. And egg power exists. I'm kind of glad egg power exists, to be honest, because I really didn't care much about the Gen 6 O powers because they don't last that long, to be honest. Plus, they're kind of forgettable. But kind of glad that Scar and Violet continues one tradition of being really good for hatching eggs, specifically, and not just for Masada method. I find it kind of good. Unfortunately, like BDSP is like not a hatching game. Like it sucks. But then that's more because of the region more than that. It's not BDSP's fault. It's because of Sinnoh's fault. But anyway, that's not the point here. Now, Sword and Shield and just Arceus have this DLC instead of a third version. Now, here's the thing. Now, while third versions are usually the end-all be-all for what game you want to pick for a given generation, but since like, you can argue since Gen 5, that the concept of a third version stopped existing, and like started to move on either no third version whatsoever, or have like what you want to have as a third version, move on to the next generation, or you could just do weird timeline thing, alternative timeline stuff, like a Ultra Sun and Moon did. But yeah, there are stir up no third versions, but DLC with the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor, not in that order, really made Sword and Shield more than Sword and Shield made Sword and Shield. Because I feel like the expansion pass alone is better than the base game. So, take that however you will. Legends Arceus did a one-time thing of a DLC, which definitely helps a lot, especially for shiny hunting. With the massive mass outbreaks that only happened because of the DLC. Honestly, that's like the best part of it, to be honest. Unfortunately, I think there's still some Pokemon you can't get by massive mass outbreak in Legends Arceus. Fine, I guess. But can't really complain, really. Unfortunately, like, kind of wish I had more DLC, to get to flesh out more of the historic history, but what are you gonna do? Okay, so let's do something that Legends Arceus also did, and that is the concept of being more focused on exploration, and it's like lesser emphasis on battles. Because honestly, like, again, I'm more leaning more and more over the years towards being a collector more than a battler. So, and because of that, because Legends Arceus doesn't focus much on about battles, it makes me focus more on the whole collection aspect. And since the collection aspect is the entire focus of Legends Arceus, how you beat the game, because of all of that, Legends Arceus is now currently my fourth favorite Pokemon game of all time. Right after Heart Gold Soul Silver, Black and White, and Crystal, in that order. So, that, like, because the whole shift in what Legends Arceus is, makes me like it more, because I'm more geared towards the kind of audience that Legends Arceus is designed for. Like, even more than, like, if I were to play, say, a battle simulator, sure, I'd play that. I wouldn't play Smogon, though. Heck no. But, if I were to play a new Stadium game, I guess, sure, I might like it, but I wouldn't like it more than Legends Arceus does. But the whole exploration aspect I really do like. I actually find this pretty good. Especially, like, if you don't bother looking at the map, you are wondering, oh, what the heck's going on? Why am I here now? Because I remember for me, early game is like that. Like, wait a minute, how am I here now? Wait, why am I here now? How am I here now? That sort of thing. I already do like that. Especially, like, since you can just, like, fly on Braviary and just, just go explore, flying all over who knows where, just, seeing stuff. I don't know, I just like the exploration aspect of Legends Arceus. I found it really, really good. And now let's go find some things that BDSP is good with. Yeah, BDSP has some good stuff, okay? There's some good in that piece of crud. We'll get to that. We'll get to how bad of a POS that thing is. But this like, some things are good about it. It definitely is better in Diamond and Pearl. I think one of those people who does think that BDSP is better than the game we made. First of all, the HM removal. I do think that the HM removal is definitely one of the best part, second best part of BDSP. Because of the HM removal, I don't have to worry about HM mules. You don't know what they're really called. I don't have to worry about getting a fly or anything. I don't have to worry about getting Star Raptor. I don't have to worry about you getting a Surfer. You're not probably going to pick Polion anyway, even though I didn't. I don't have to worry about getting a definitive strength user. I don't have to worry about getting all sorts of HMs just to do Mount Coronet. And that's that sort of thing, because I'd have to worry about so many unnecessary things. I could just build my team the way I want to build my team. So, and with that, now that I have more freedom in what Pokemon I want to use, I don't have to worry about, having to box something in order to bring out 1 or 2 HM slaves. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's what I do like about BDSP. So, yeah, I guess Sinnoh is like probably the most HM intensive region. And especially I hate it. I really hate Sinnoh. But another thing that BDSP is like the best at, one thing that BDSP is good for is one of its most like featured items since like pre-release, and that is the Grand Underground. The Grand Underground, and I'm actually loving the Grand Underground and the National Dex. And by National Dex, I mean like BDSP's National Dex, whereas of your Pokemon from Gens 1 through 4. Which honestly, that's kind of what I expected BDSP to go if it were to go to National Dex. To not go any further than Gen 4. I think that's fine. It's expected. Like, there's no reason for one terrible game to have, like, every single Pokemon. There's kind of no reason to. Fine. Kind of like the fact that the Grand Underground gives a lot more options to areas that desperately need those options. Because everyone knows about the meme about, Diamond and Pearl in general, about, oh hey, I want to build my own team, and the team's always Starter, Star Raptor, Luxray, and then 3 other, and maybe like Garchomp, maybe Floatzel if you don't pick Empoleon, and like maybe the Legendary, or even some other Pokemon that's already super popular in Sinnoh, maybe Lucario even. So it's always the same 6, and it's grading, it's super grading, but at least now with Diamond and Pro, you can at least get like Houndour, or you can get I think you can get Slugma or Numel, I don't remember. But point is that you get more options where they are actually needed. Like you can make a good Pokemon game with very few Pokemon, Colosseum, but there are still some areas that definitely need those other things. Like if you're gonna have a Fire type Elite Four, at least give them some Fire type Pokemon. I thought that would be kind of obvious. But, yeah, some things were desperately needed. I like that. I like the fact that, and granted, I don't use the Underground that much other than, filling up the decks. I don't even use the Shiny thing. I think Shiny thing and Grand Underground is kind of terrible. But anyway, I got nothing more to say about things about I liked about Gen 8 as a whole, rather the pieces of Gen 8 as a whole. And now let's talk about the things I don't like about Gen 8, and we all know, everyone knows, like, the popular opinion about stuff people don't like about Gen 8. Welcome back, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. That's it, that's the thing I don't like about Gen 8. Just BDSP. It exists. Like, and the thing is, it's not because of that the game is buggy as frick. Honestly, the thing is, I'm talking about the patches and stuff. I'll get to that. Nah. Here's what I think. Here's what I don't like about BDSP as a whole, okay? If it's the whole art style, I don't care. I don't care about the art style. I mean, it's not like Sword and Shield art style, but honestly, I could care less. Like, if knowing, because they did announce BDSP and Legend Arc at the same time, I don't really care that much about BDSP's graphics. But if they're gonna say they're making a faithful remake of a game, but what happened is they didn't change that much, but they're also not faithful enough. Here's what I mean, right? If you're going to make a faithful remake of BDSP, why is the bicycle like absolutely horrible? Like why is the Leaf Orton champion so hard? Like the champion I get, but why like the Leaf Orton? Why do they have to make like some crazy like EV boosting and also create like actual team building stuff, like competitive monotyping for that? It's just kind of unnecessary. And also, what's with the affection mechanic? Like, why do we have that in BDSP? That's not necessary. Not only is it not necessary, but it conflicts quite a bit. Because the thing is, right? You don't know about the happiness mechanic. That's fine. You don't know about happiness, like how that works, what it mainly boils down to, and makes the move return stronger. Sure. Then comes Gen 6 with X and Y with the affection mechanic, which is something completely different, in which the more you play with your Pokemon sort of thing, the more stuff that happens with the Pokemon. Like you can when opponent tries to KO a Pokemon, it lives with 1 HP, so it'll toughs out. Or if it randomly gets out of a status, so you won't feel bad. In Generation 8, the happiness and the affection mechanic merge together to mainly form one thing with Pokemon Camp, which worked in Sword and Shield to streamline the evolution of Eevee to Sylveon. See, in that case, I find it okay, because it's more streamlining, and Jenny has done a lot of streamlining for evolutions. That's fine. What's not fine is transferring that to a completely different game, a completely different region, where said streamline wasn't even needed because Sylveon's not in BDSP, so why even have the affection mechanic? And then have the happiness and affection mechanic be absolutely busted together. Like, you get happiness so quickly, and with that you get affection so quickly. Like, even I saw myself, who did not even touch, who still to this day has not touched Amity Square, even after beating it. Like, when I got to Cynthia, I still had the affection mechanic stuff placed on me where it didn't really occur any time before. And I didn't even do crud about the affection mechanic. I didn't do crud about happiness. And yet it still occurred. So, I mean, granted, that time did save me, that saved quite a bit. Let me beat Cynthia on my first go. Sure. Was it like, worth? I think it's worth it, but didn't really, like, benefit much from it. Sure. The thing is, like, in the affection and happiness merge in Sword and Shield works with Sword and Shield, but doesn't work with BDSP. That's what I'm saying. I said this before, but I also don't like the fact of the difficulty spike for the Elite Four. Honestly, like, I knew going in, I played Diamond and Pearl. I knew how hard Cynthia was. I lost to Cynthia once. But, I mean, that losing to Cynthia once was actually end up being a benefit because I'd end up seeing just enough Pokemon from her team to activate Pal Park before beating Cynthia. But that's neither here nor there. What is here or there is that, like, the unnecessary difficulty spike from there. Like, it's fun if games are difficult. Like, I'm fine in, like, difficult Pokemon games. I beat Colosseum multiple times. But, like, if there's, like, this difficulty, and then there's the game thinking that is okay in difficulty, thinking that is easy, and once you get to the tipping top, let's make it more difficult. Like, all of a sudden. That's what that's what I'm not fond of. Like, similar difficulty spike in Scarlet and Violet, for example. I said this a few times while on stream, but when I beat the False Dragon Titan, which is my last Titan, I was nowhere near enough levels for what's to come next. So after I beat all the Titans, then got the story about Arven about Turo needs to go to Area 0. Arven asks you for a battle. How the heck was I supposed to know he has a team that can probably beat Gita? at the like late 50s, early 60s. What the heck? Where did this come from? I lost one twice because of that. And there's one thing I didn't like about Scarlet and Violet. It's that. It's the unexpected, like, difficulty spike. Okay. And I'm going to say the one more thing about BDSP. Just one more thing, okay? And this, like, encompasses just about everything else I don't like about BDSP. It's Sinnoh. I don't like this region. At all. I actually hate Sinnoh, the region. Like, there's one thing I don't like about Diamond and Pearl, one thing I don't like about Platinum, one thing I don't like about this, is this region. I do not like it. Because it's like the one region, like more than any other region, where the game is actively preventing you from exploring it. Ironic, because Legends Arceus takes place in the past version of Sinnoh, and it's very like exploration like friendly. But no, once it goes to the modern day, this place is like closed off. Like, first of all, it's the most HM intensive one. It requires the most HMs necessary in like any specific section of the game, that be Mount Coronet or if it's Platinum, Mount Coronet Distortion World, because they all go together. Like, just needing like at least like one Pokemon that's entirely HM moves, or even like 2 HM slaves, just to cover as much HM as possible. Like that in Victory Road, I really, really hate Sinnoh. Like as a whole, the game is like very narrow. Like the game barely gives you enough room to move, and then all the backtracking. Like even in Platinum, where the gym wouldn't make sense, you still have to go to quite a considerable backtracking. I just don't like the region of Sinnoh. Like, you can take Diamond and Pearl, his gym leaders, his important battles, the champion, whatever, place it in Hoenn, and I like it more. Or place it in Johto, I like it more. Like, give Johto, like, everything, like all the important battles of Diamond and Pearl, I'd probably like it. I probably like Sinnoh. But I don't like the region of Sinnoh. Okay? That's what I'm saying. The one thing that makes Diamond and Pearl, like, garbage, like, absolute garbage, is his region. Oh, and let's get someone why not about BDSP. It's actually nothing to do with BDSP itself, but it's something related to BDSP, but it's not the game's fault. Well, technically it's the game's fault, but it's more the developer's fault. The glitches! And by glitches, I mean the patches to the glitches. I'm not talking about the glitches themselves. The glitches themselves are fun. Here's the thing, like, if there's one of the few things people like about Gen 1 nowadays, is how easy it is to glitch. Like, all the absolute nonsense you can do with Generation 1 without using any hacking devices. Like, early BDSP was kind of insane when it comes to duplication glitches and stuff you can access, like, other parts of the map, kind of like the tweaking glitch from Diamond and Pearl. You can have access to Darkrai and Shaman immediately, which I've done, by the way, like way back then. But yeah, dealing with like the patches, the glitches made the game so not fun. It made the game so not fun that when the home compatibility came up, it finally got released after way too long. Like, the duplication patches were so strict that not even the perfectly legal game-intended duplication is also banned. And by that I mean Ninkata. Or Ninkata. Whichever you pronounce. I put it Ninkata. Like, you cannot transfer the Ninkata line to home because of a consequence of a glitch. Of patching a glitch. It is so stupid. And not only that, the whole Spinda nonsense. There's something wrong with the code of BDSP that like incorrectly codes where the spots are on Spinda, meaning that like if transferred to home, a spot probably will look completely different, which is completely unintended. Who knew? It possibly can make things even worse for home. So Spinda is also banned from home, which means that like you cannot have a Spinda anywhere in Gen 8. So literally Spin is banned from Gen 8 despite being in Gen 8. That is really crazy. I just find it really crazy that you can't transfer Spinda from anywhere in Gen 8, even though it's in Gen 8, but you can't do anything about it. It is stupid. It is very stupid. Alright. So, okay, now we're finally done with BDSP nonsense. Let's talk about Sword and Shield nonsense. Now, two things that I like about Sword and Shield. One is actually justified, and the other is because of a personal anti-preference. And sort of the latter. Why the heck is Leon's ace? Here's the thing, like, for those who don't know, Charizard or like the Kanto stars as a whole have not been in any Generation 2 game without trading, nor any Generation 5 game without trading. So it's one of the very few Pokemon that is permanently not been able to be obtained in 2 generations. I made a video on that. But since Gen 5, specifically Charizard has been in everything, and not only has it been in everything, but also has been receiving a lot of love from Game Freak, like or maybe the Pokemon Company. I don't know, it was one of the two, like unhealthy amounts of love, specifically to Charizard. Because I know Charizard's kind of always been popular. Sure, I get that Charizard's always been popular. Like, take Charizard out of the anime, it'll still be the most popular one. Fine, I accept that. But it's the treatment they give to Charizard compared to Venusaur and Blastoise. Let's start with the obvious one. Gen 6. Mega Evolution came up, and some Pokemon, including the Kanto starters, all received Mega Evolutions. Cool. And like some of them... and some like Venusaur got greatly improved by it because they got an ability it absolutely would love. And Blastoise, nobody cares. I like Blastoise. It's just like, it's Mega, it's kind of whatever. Charizard got 2 of them. So, and that's pretty stupid. Pretty dang freaking stupid. It's one of the 2 Pokemon that got 2 Mega Evolutions. One is Mewtwo, and I get why Mewtwo. I mean, like, and the funny, what they did with Mewtwo is kind of interesting, because, like, one of them is meant to be, one of them has, like, a movie thing going on, and the other completely changes, like, the idea of how to play Mewtwo. That's fine. But Charizard did the same thing. Why Charizard of all Pokemon? No, like, and the great thing is, like, despite Mega Evolution being a thing, like, there are no Gen 6 Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. I just feel like, even back then, I feel like that's really freaking stupid. But what's freaking stupid is, why did Charizard get 2 Mega Evolutions? And in Gen 7, Charizard, I think Charizard was in Gen 7, but I think it's mostly for, like, Island Scan thing, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's more Island Scan thing. So, it's there, but it's not in the forefront, which is fine. Because, like, I think every starter between the two main Lola games have every starter, like, hidden around with Island Scan. Fine. But I still get 2 Mega Evolutions. And then Let's Go happened, and that made Charizard, like, not only keep his 2 Mega Evolutions, and you can switch between them at will, but it's also one of the few Pokemon you can fly around, like, post-game, and have one of the few Pokemon between it, Dragonite, and I think Aerodactyl too. I've never used Aerodactyl in Let's Go, where you go so higher into the air, and find more Charizards and Dragonites, and even legendary birds, like, while just being up there. Like, higher in the sky than normal. That's BS. Not gonna lie, that is completely BS. Because isn't Charizard supposed to be, like, kind of like, I'm 5'10". Isn't, like, Charizard supposed to be smaller than the average, like, Pokemon you expect to want to fly around? I know Dragonite's like that too, but, like, I just feel like that's kind of an unhealthy love right there. I just feel like that shouldn't be right. And then Leon. And then the topic of what we're talking about is Leon. Why is his main boy Charizard? And not only that, why is Charizard, what is Charmander line in Sword and Shield, in its base decks, but not Venusaur or Blastoise? What happened to their lines? Why is only the Charmander line there? That is the problem I've had What's with this unhealthy obsession with Charizard? Also, going a little bit forward, Scarlet and Violet, not once but twice, they put a Charizard raid, and Charizard's not even in the main Paldea decks. And there's the first main raid event that occurred twice. What's with that? Why just Charizard? And the next one up to this point in time is Cinderace, but spoilers: Cinderace is in. I wouldn't say in the Paldea decks, but it is already known to be in available in the region when you transfer over. You can transfer with the Gala starters, no problem. But that's neither here or there, and I think that's because of the old Year of the Rabbit thing. So, fine. It was a lot pretty holding story. Anyway, so much love for Charizard, it's unhealthy. Now, one thing I also don't like about Sword and Shield, and it's like one of the main complaints about Sword and Shield, not the graphics. Graphics I don't care, but not like the battle system, the whole like deck. So we'll talk about that later. But right now, one thing I don't like about Sword and Shield, which more or less does also transfer into Scarlet and Violet somehow, is the Y-Comm. My goodness, the Y-Comm sucks. Like the Y-Comm absolutely sucks. Here's the thing. Like you press, here's the thing, because I'm so used to pressing Y to go to the bike. So I'm so used to pressing Y for bike, and then like, oh, it's not that. I have to press a different button for bike. No, it goes into a different menu to go online. And not only that, when you want to go find a raid or something, like you have to, I can't just press Y and then expect to find raids. No, I gotta go press Y, gotta go all the way out, gotta go to search settings, check seeking, and then maybe, just maybe, I might be able to find a raid or two that I might be interested in. As long as, we press A on it trying to join a raid and no one's there because, the raid thing is full and it doesn't auto-update, and the button to update it doesn't work at times. Like, you can't just press the button to, auto-update because the game has to, you'll wait a while, go do something else, and then you can update it. Why does the button just, immediately update it? Why there's no time limit where the thing just, goes way on its own. What's with that? Because the raid waiting room does have a time limit. What's with that? I just feel like it's the whole idea of the Y-Comm is absolutely terrible, and unfortunately, it does stand in Scarlet and Violet. Although I think it's actually easier to refresh in Scarlet and Violet because for a fact that you could just press the button. Press the button on a raid. If it doesn't work, do it another time or go somewhere else. If it doesn't work 2 times, then you can press the button. But it's just kind of terrible in Sword and Shield, honestly. Alright, so this is stuff I don't like about Gen 8. Now, I didn't talk about Legends Arceus that much because, honestly, there's not much I don't like about Legends Arceus. I guess I can say that for Legends Arceus, it's an isekai. I just feel that's kind of odd. But I think the whole entire premise of it is that it's an isekai. And you don't even, the game doesn't even, bookend the fact that it's an isekai. Like, you don't go back to your time period. So, I just feel like it's kind of missing information there. So, you just ported back to here, so away from Arceus, and you can't go back. And the game doesn't even tell you whether or not you went back. That's kind of lame. But anyway, here's some things about Gen 8 that I just find mid. And yes, there are one thing from each of the 3 games from Gen 8 here. For Sword and Shield, the whole Dynamax mechanic, the whole Dynamax phenomenon, it's mid. I mean, granted, at this point, I find, Mega Evolution mid. I do find Z-Moods a problem. But the Dynamax just find it quite mid. The thing is, I don't battle that much. I mean, granted, I do in Gen 8. But Dynamax seems like the thing that could very easily be fixed. But they don't. Because the thing is, it's meant to make strong Pokemon stronger. Mega Evolution exists. Z-Moves exists. And in this case, Terastallize exists. Why is it it's so big of a problem now. Well, then. Heck, people saying that Terastallize is absolutely broken and makes strong Pokemon stronger. Dude, why didn't you just ban Mega Evolution as a whole because they make strong Pokemon stronger? But still, I do feel like Dynamax, I get why it's a problem. I get why the concept of Dynamax is a problem. But also, from what I heard, Dynamax is a big problem in singles only. And the Pokemon Company always pushes doubles as its main battle competitive format. And I've heard it's kind of decent in doubles. That it's not overly doesn't break that much in doubles. If it doesn't break that much in doubles, I don't even know. I mean, I don't play doubles, so I don't know like how broken Dynamax is in doubles. Like, I get why it's broken in singles. So many things are broken in singles. The game's not meant to be competitive in singles. Why do you think I didn't like I focused more on being a collector than a battler? But yeah, I find it mid because it doesn't really add much. I mean, like, it adds like stuff, stats, doubles your HP, it makes all the max moves, they'll make some crazy effects. Like, you can set up weather with an attacking move. I feel like they could have just done that with a regular attack. Like, why not give, like, I don't know, let's give him a cargo, an attacking move that sets up the sun. It wouldn't be good. But then again, give that thing to, let's say, Roaring Moon. That'd be hilariously bad. Anyway, yeah, the Dynamax is kind of mid, to be honest. I like Mega Evolution, but I really wish Mega Evolution could come back without the broken stuff. Like, without the broken Mega Evolutions. Like, bring Mega Evolutions, but only the stuff like Pinsir, Heracross, Houndoom. You know, just some otherwise not very strong Pokemon. And then leave the Salamence, leave the Mawile, leave the Kangaskhan. Oh, no, I think Kangaskhan will be fine now, because I think I think Parental Bond's actually nerfed. So you can bring Kangaskhan back, it'll be fine. But yeah, also is nonsense. For BDSP, what I find completely mid is Ramanas Park. I just feel like that's so mid that I didn't bother doing anything with it. That is all. It's just so mid, I didn't do anything about it. I decided to just pass on it. I kind of have little use for Ramanas Park. I wanted to shiny hunt Registeel on Ramanas Park, but that thing requires soft resetting, and soft resetting in BDSP takes forever. So I decided, you know what, forget it. I'll just ignore it. And for Legends Arceus, the battle system, the whole like agile and strong style, the battling system, I find it kind of mid. But then again, that's the point. That's kind of the point. It's not meant to be the big highlight of Legends Arceus. It's meant to be the whole exploration, collection aspect that's important. So, Legends Arceus, like, if the whole agile and strong style comes into like a mainline Pokemon game or like some sort of battle simulator, I don't really care if Smogon does it. I don't really care if Showdown does it. I do not really care. It's not the best suit of Legends Arceus. It's not meant to be. So for that, I'll call it mid. Now, here's a few things I like about Gen 8 as a whole, but it's not their fault. It's actually meant because something that Gen 7 did. We all know about regional forms, how like this is one of the best things to happen to Pokemon in a very, very long time. Kind of glad how they continued on with Galar. And not only that, but they give regional forms unique evolutions. They give Surfetch, they give Obstagoon. I feel like that's like the best thing they've done. Like, give more things to not just, you know, to Pokemon, even just the regional forms. And Legends Arceus did the same thing with stuff like Overquiller, Saluna, Cleavor, that sort of thing. I feel like that's kind of sick. I like it. For also to Gen 7, also very, very aggravated thing in that you like something I don't like about shiny hunting or master the method in Gen 6 was the fact that once you get your party full of eggs, you have to go back to the PC, deposit the eggs, and then come back. But for Gen 7, you can just, you know, put it automatically in the box. For Gen 8, you automatically send it in the box. For Gen 9, something weird like happens. Instead of having the box automatically sent to boxes, it's like the only way. Not only it's the default, but it's the only way. Eggs do not show up on the party at all. I just find that kind of weird. You get eggs, but they automatically, by default, and it's the only option, sent to boxes instead. I just find it's kind of weird. But at least it's not like BDSP in that you get the eggs and they automatically sent to the first box instead of box 1. instead of whatever box you're currently on. That's lame. That's absolutely awful. I think Legends Arceus does the same thing too, where instead of Pokemon being sent to whatever box they're currently on, but it sends to the first box specifically. I found that kind of stupid. I'm not a big fan of that, but also I said this before that about the whole hatching thing in Sword and Shield. That I like the fact there were 2 nurseries in Sword and Shield. Coming from Moraz is the only other game that had it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Now for the big one. Now time for the big stuff, the big controversial part of Sword and Shield's pre-release. This is the part where I'm going to talk about this, okay? This is the thing that killed... Well, I wouldn't say it killed Pokemon. This didn't kill Pokemon. But it definitely killed a lot of fans' trust for the Pokemon Company. Here we go. It's not Sword and Shield's fault. It's Sun Moon's fault. So I'm gonna say this right now. So we all know about the thing people call Dexit, you know, where Masuda made the big nuke of saying that only Pokemon from the regional Galar Dex can be transferred from home. Yeah, remember when Ruby and Sapphire did that? Remember, but then in Ruby and Sapphire's case, there's a specific reason for it, but no one knew at the time, because it wasn't really explained at the time. But then again, I didn't really care at the time, since I was, what, 11? Give or take at the time? But still. But for Gen 3, the specific reason was hardware related. But for Sword and Shield, it was kind of no reason. But then again, like, supposedly, they wanted to focus less on, you know, getting all these animations done for every Pokemon and focus on, like, making this more quality content. And then people found out there is no quality content. The game's kind of awful. Honestly, I like Sword and Shield, but it's not a S tier game, but it's up there for me. But not having every Pokemon available in a single generation. Gen 8 was not the first generation where that happened. Gen 7 was. Because here's the thing, even with like Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and Let's Go, not every Pokemon became available natively. But I mean with that, yes, you can transfer over stuff. But let's say your first Pokemon game was Sun and Moon. Your very first one, you only have Sun and Moon, and you don't want to go backwards. Right? You think that, oh, X and Y is terrible. Aura is terrible. First of all, if you say Aura is terrible, shame on you. But let's say you started with Sun and Moon, right? And you want to go forward, right? I will keep going forward, and you decide you want to build a living dex. Where the heck are you going to Skittle? If you're trying to go for, you started Sun and Moon, and you caught up all the way to Legends Arceus. Want to build a living dex. How do you get a Skittle? And the answer is, you get in Scarlet and Violet, like, 9 years later. So the thing is, like, Pokemon has had a track record of making sure that as many Pokemon as possible in every single generation on their own natively, somehow. I mean, yes, Gen 3 was a bad example of this, because, granted, upside they made Colosseum and XZ, which is a good thing, because Emerald at the time wasn't made yet. But then once Emerald was a thing, you still would rather want to go to Colosseum XD if you want to do a living death, because of the whole Lugia Ho-Oh thing. And then Gen 4, as much as I hate Sinnoh, at least you could theoretically get every Pokemon between DP, Heart Gold, Silver, and Platinum. You could get all these Pokemon. It is possible, and if you were there during the event at the time, you don't have to go to Gen 3 at all. Gen 5. Granted, Gen 5 was a bit of an issue, because there wasn't any other game besides Unova there. I kind of get that you can't really get every Pokemon Unova there. But then again, like, I think Unova, more than the region, more than anything, kind of expects you to already have Diamond, or at least some Gen 4 game. I guess. But again, apparently not a lot of people like Gen 5 when it was new, even though it's the best generation. I get that. And then Gen 6 was still the last generation where you could get everything in one generation. So that's why I really do like Gen 6, because you can at least get every Pokemon. Not in Gen 7 though, not in Gen 8 though. But at least in Gen 7's defense, you could transfer over, and then you could just have your Skiddo there. But like in Gen 8, it's definitely not the case. The whole Dexit thing, I feel like the Dexit was inevitable eventually. So might as well bite the bullet then do it some other time down the line. Because there was like a ton of Pokemon models already been made. They were already past 1,000 models before Gen 8, including Mega Evolution. So, and now we have over 1,000 Pokemon, period, without Mega Evolution. It's kind of crazy. I feel like the whole every Pokemon not being available to a single generation needed to be done eventually. So, might as well just do it on the Switch. So, I said this before about BDSP's like the difficulty spike for the Elite Four. Again, that's not exactly BDSP's fault. It's BD's fault. It's Hoen's fault. It's actually, for me, the most difficult spike in Pokemon is the little stretch of time between when you fight Wally in Elite Four you fight Wally in Victory Road and Hoenn, especially Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know about Emerald, and going to Sydney. That's the biggest, for me, the biggest level difference. Although granted, I think nowadays I do think that the difficulty spike between beating the last Titan Pokemon and Arven is the biggest difficulty spike, depending on how leveled your Pokemon are. I didn't bother with EXP candies, so for me, like, getting to Arven is the crazy difficulty spike. But honestly, I do feel like you could, if you know about EXP candies, you don't have to worry as much about it. But in like Ruby and Sapphire, like, just banning any opponents to fight, like the amount of battles is limited. And the amount of strong battles, like battles you can easily train your Pokemon, is very limited in Ruby and Sapphire. So, for me, difficulty spike from Wally to Sydney is crazy. But holy crud, the difficulty spike in BDSP is crazy. It's actually absolutely crazy. Not only that, it's like, imagine if the whole Elite Four actually had, like, you know, IV and EV trained Pokemon with items and stuff. That is crazy with BDSP's levels difficulty spike. But it's not BDSP's fault. It's kind of want to make the game a little difficult, but also pay homage to how hard DP was, where instead of they took into account the different variety of Pokemon the player can have, compensated with difficulty spike for the end. Okay, I don't like understandable. If that's the actual reason, like compensating the amount of options with more difficulty, that I get. Well, I didn't do it for later games. I mean, granted, Game Freak didn't make it, so. And last thing I want to mention before ending this video off. Okay, as much as I like, games trying to, especially long-running games trying to experiment with new concepts, I feel like Generation 8 has, like, nothing but experimentation. Like, nothing but. First of all, with Sword and Shield, trying to be an HD game and trying to be its own, unique region in HD, experimenting with, actually changing your camera angles with the wild area and the later DLCs, trying to do something different. And then BDSP, not even being a Game Freak themselves, it's someone else, a different companies. The company that made Pokemon Home decided to do it in Unity, no less. Which later exploded in the modding community, because Unity is so easy to mod. And then Legends Arceus be a completely different... Like, Legends Arceus is a game, it's a main series game that is so removed from, the main series formula that it makes Colosseum a main series Pokemon game. It's like the difference between like the Vatican City and Hong Kong by CGP Grey, like
Vatican City, the least country-like country that's still a country.
that's Legends Arceus. And then
Hong Kong, the most country-like country that isn't.
that's Colosseum. That's crazy. I feel like as fine with experimentation, but if every single one of your games is completely experimenting differently, then how is it going to move forward with, you know, Gen 9? I mean, we know now how it moved forward with Gen 9. We know that already. We know how it moves over. But, like, before we knew about Gen 9, it's kind of crazy thinking about all these different concepts, how they're going to, you know, put them all together. Like, what are they going to do with them? That's the thing with Gen 6. That's a thing that Gen 6 was ended up being a problem with. Because, you know, with Gen 6, they experimented with 3D graphics. And so with experimenting with 3D, not experimenting with having 3D models and having every single Pokemon up to that point, and Mega Evolutions, and adding new Pokemon, to having 3D models, some of these look completely awful, like some of them don't even work anymore. That to this day, that some Pokemon look terrible because of what they did in Gen 6. And then we have like, not just that, but X and Y had like Sky Battles, which didn't last. Let's see what X and Y also did. Did Super Training, and Super Training's fine. Pokemon and Me, I mean, granted, it was experimentation, but at least it evolved over time. That's fine. Oras had all the different stuff you can do with the Pokénav, which was pretty cool, but too bad it didn't go anywhere. It stings, but I actually do like the Dex Nav. I feel like it's a really good concept, but didn't go anywhere. That stinks. But yeah, if it comes to experimentation, X and Y was like the biggest experimentation. But nothing encapsulates experimentation in the whole Pokemon generation in Gen 8. That is all for now. That's all I got to say about things I don't like, things I do like about Gen 8, and all the other stuff I want to talk about. Yes, it's a long video. Yes, I don't know if I want to even edit this. I'm not sure if I'm going to put any footage in there. I don't think so, knowing me. But anyway, that is all. See you guys later for 2023.